And welcome back. Time now to go on the docket with KMIR News legal analyst John Patrick Dolan.
Yeah, starting out tonight, we're going to talk about the Twin Palms accused arsonist, Rip Goforth, a criminal mastermind that stole $2,000, tried to set the building on fire. John, in what is assumed to be an attempt to cover up his crime, he's made quite a mess for himself.
Well, it's an interesting case. I'm almost sort of chuckling at his name. Rip and Goforth sounds like embezzlement and arson. But it looks like a situation in which a guy made a couple of bad decisions. Thank God nobody got hurt. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. I know that it was contemplated to file an attempted murder because of the arson, but apparently the damage to the building wasn't significant and nobody was hurt. And so arson plus embezzlement is probably enough to deal with as far as Mr. Goforth is concerned. And it's one of those cases where you see a guy must have been awfully down on his luck to commit that kind of crime.
And John, a mistrial declared in the Jodi Arias penalty phase retrial. Jurors could not reach a consensus. What's next?
Well, what's next is sentencing. She's had two penalty phases. She had the one in the original trial after the original trial, and then she had this retrial in the penalty phase. Apparently Arizona, after two shots at it, there's not going to be another penalty phase. The judge apparently on sentencing in April has a choice of life without possibility or life with possibility of parole after 25 years. Given the fact that it was 11-1 for death, my guess would be we probably have a life without possibility sentence imposed on Jodi Arias, and that will be the end of the case.
All right, real quickly, John, Supreme Court heard oral arguments last week on the latest challenge to Obamacare. When you hear the questions asked by the Supremes, if you will, does that give you any indication where they may be leaning?
It's hard to know. Every time we think we know what the verdict's going to be or what the ruling's going to be because we hear the questions, we get fooled. Witness the original Obamacare Supreme Court decision. I would say there's arguments on both sides of this one. And especially since it was read this after you pass it, there may be a few people who say what should be done, which is really this should be sent back to Congress to get adjusted. If that doesn't happen, it'll be interesting to see. Whichever way the court rules, you know there's going to be controversy.
That is pretty much always the case. KMIR News legal analyst John Patrick Dolan, thank you, sir, as always.
Indeed.